All right, let's talk about CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. Listen, if you're expecting this to be some sort of bashing CJ Stroud, because like I get it, like they barely scored in this game, and 7 of the points they did have were on special teams, so definitely it was not ideal. To me, I am going to give a lot more credit to the Ravens defense. I actually thought Stroud played all right at times. I actually thought he played well in specific moments. They're just the Ravens defense was too much in this game. So yeah, I'm actually going to start off talking about some positives. There were some positives here and there, right? Not a lot, but let's talk about what happened. Let's start off with this play. This was a good play, an interesting one. So it's going to be a zone coverage concept for the Ravens right here, and you see how this can work for Houston. You have Dalton Schultz, tight end, running a deep shot, which could be a one-on-one matchup down the field. Then you have your halfback Singletary running a route that'll get into the flat towards the bottom of the screen. So okay, kind of two one-on-one matchups. Watch as when Stroud takes the snap, he's going to look over and you see that, Singletary trying to get towards the bottom of the screen. Is there a window here? Not really. I would say this is pretty good coverage by Patrick Queen. And on top of this, Stroud's running out of time. He's going to have to get outside the pocket. So Stroud and Singletary are kind of both on the same page here, though. Singletary knows, okay, if this play breaks down, got to start running downfield. And Stroud knows, hey, let's try and extend this play. As you see, Stroud does get outside the pocket and is able to, really kind of put up a floater right there. It's, just giving his receiver a chance, right? That's what he's trying to do here. He doesn't have time to wait and then try to make the throw further. He has to make the throw now. So it's a really high degree of difficulty play from Stroud. And, you see, it's not like Singletary is wide open. However, Stroud puts it in an area where Singletary can adjust, and he's able to, make the catch that led to the, only scoring drive they had in the first quarter, which to me, this is kind of a, great encapsulation of a lot of what was happening, which is the Ravens defense making things nearly impossible for Stroud, and Stroud just doing what he can to get anything going, and the Texans in general doing what they can to get anything going. Also, something like this was, I thought, interesting. So it's going to be a man coverage play. It's cover one play. So you got one-on-one matchups on the outside. It's going to be Dalton Schultz running a deep shot. Ronald Darby is the guy who's covering him, which, again, that's something that I do think matters, is losing Marlon Humphrey. Again, Baltimore was able to, they didn't make it seem to matter too much, but still, this is an opportunity for Houston. Watch as when Stroud takes the snap, you're going to see him really throw this one at a perfect time. And again, it's not wide open, right? You're going to have to make a pretty accurate throw, and Schultz is going to have to do a good job at adjusting to the football for this to be a completion. But again, when you're playing Baltimore, it's just what you have to do. These are the windows you have, is stuff like this. And again, here Stroud was able to hit it. So really, for the most part, I thought Baltimore was doing a great job at covering. But it's like, well, when you're if a quarterback is making the throw at the perfect time, receivers running a good route, well, it's like there's only so much you can do, really. Early on, my only real nitpick I would have, like in the first half, this is probably the only real critique I would have of the Ravens defense, but also credit to the Texans for, attacking it. It's 3rd down and 13 here, and I've never really been a huge fan of this, prevent defense really in this spot. Now, I think some people online act like prevent defense is the dumbest thing in the world. There's a time and place for it, but on 3rd and 13, it's always the kind of thing where it's like, here's why I don't love it. So Nico Collins, great player, Nico Collins, running a route over the middle. Watch as we're going to see him go off screen for a second, and CJ Stroud fires it, and Collins is wide open. Now, they showed the other angle. Was it a great, on the broadcast, was it a great route from Collins? Of course. But Nico Collins is a great route runner. I think you're putting yourself in a, you're putting your players not in position to succeed when they're running concepts that they're not used to running, that they hardly ever run these types of concepts. So it's hard to really get mad at them for not being able to, very quickly adjust to a great route runner. At the same time, though, still, hey, if you're Nico Collins, if they are in a coverage not used to, well, what do you got to do? You got to make them pay. Stroud makes the perfect throw, and really, great timing on that by Stroud, too. To get it in between the two Baltimore players who were over the middle of the field. Great stuff from Collins. So, again, it's just the kind of thing where it felt like when either one of these units was making a mistake, the other one would make them pay. And I thought both were definitely doing a pretty good job. The issue, though, in the second half, well, they didn't really make mistakes. And to be honest, you talk about complimentary football, we kind of, I feel like often talk about football as if it's like two different games being played, the Texans offense versus the Ravens defense, and then the other side of things. And even in this video, that's what I'm doing, right? So it makes sense. But definitely, I thought the Ravens offense getting these kind of 7-minute drives going certainly, helped out a ton. But also, I don't know. If they had to have 20 possessions, I don't know how much points Houston would be getting because Baltimore they were covering so well. Something like this, where it's kind of set up as though it's going to be a cover zero. A couple players will drop back into coverage over the middle area, but still, on this 3rd down and 5, for Stroud, he's going to have to try and figure something out. Watch as when this play began, Stroud, actually does a pretty good job of getting, around the pressure right there. There was an unblocked man. He was able to get around it, and he's looking down the field. So this is kind of why I'm not really, again, I'm not sure, I haven't seen everywhere. I'm not sure how many people are blaming Stroud for this or not, blaming Stroud for this. For me, this is a situation where for CJ Stroud, what else are you supposed to do at this point? If there's an open player, well, okay, even if it's not open, even if it's just like a 50-50 ball, that's one of those things where you want to check it out, right? You want to just, hey, throw it down the field and hope for the best, even if it is 50-50. But you see, Stroud has to just throw it away because there wasn't even that. Everything was, basically you're throwing the ball to a Raven or you're throwing the football away. That's all Stroud could do. To be honest, I would like to see I think I kind of would like to see the Texans go for it there. I know that's like an aggressive go for it when you're deep in your own territory. You don't want to get down 3 scores. But to me, just given the way the game had gone, that's kind of how I was thinking at that point, just because, again, Baltimore was doing such a good job of covering. You just weren't getting anything going. It feels like you almost have to, if you give the ball back to Baltimore and kill more clock, it feels like a bad situation. But again, even as I say that, I'm sure people are going to be screaming at their computer or phone or TV, whatever you're watching this on, and saying okay, yeah, but if you do that, well, then you have to try and win down the field. And what's crazy about all this stuff is how good Baltimore was doing covering. They are missing their best cover corner in Marlon Humphrey. And listen, Houston's missing a ton of receiving talent as well, for sure. But still, it didn't matter when they were playing Cleveland, right? It mattered here against the Ravens for sure because of how well the Ravens were covering in this one. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts with CJ Stroud. Listen, incredible season by Houston. And, one thing I didn't really bring up, but is very true, is just the injuries that they had. Really it was a lot of times Nico Collins and friends, and they were only able to do so much, right? So you're already playing a great coverage unit, even without Marlon Humphrey. This is a great coverage unit, doing a lot of really good schematic stuff on top of it. And you're banged up if you're Houston. It is what it is. Tough matchup, but, learn from it. And clearly the future is bright. This was an awesome season if you're a Texans fan. I do get it. It's still going to be disappointing. If you're a Texans fan, you want to see your team play in the conference championship finally. But I have a feeling with CJ Stroud, they'll end up there at some point. But, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.